right. Hello and welcome to Hello Governor, the podcast. As always, I am Abdullah, and with me today, do you want to introduce yourself? Because I know I'm going to butcher your name if I try to pronounce it.
Sure. It's Khaya Fraites. Hi.
So, first question is the obvious one. How did you get started, and what made you want to get into voiceover?
So I got into voiceover because of the pandemic. I went to school for theater and graduated in 2019 and then moved to New York to hopefully start acting in theater and film in January 2020, and then everything shut down. So I got a microphone and just started submitting to projects online and started, building up like my reels and like my experience and just auditioning for anything I could find, and started first really in like fiction podcasts and commercials, and then started getting more into animation and audiobooks, and now video games.
So it was always something you wanted to pursue. It wasn't something that you stumbled across. Is that correct?
Well, acting, yes, I've always wanted to act, but voice acting, I never really knew anything about how to get into it. It was definitely something I was interested in, but didn't know like what a good jumping off point would be. I didn't have any like formal training in like how to voice act or anything, but I'm so glad that, I had time to figure that out, even though we were stuck inside.
And was there added pressure from that? Because a lot of people, I'm sure, as you know, a lot of people during the pandemic took up voiceover because that was the only thing that was available at the time. So it wasn't like there were many available options. So I'm kind of wondering, like, was there a difficulty curve getting into it, especially during a time when the world was shut down and we didn't know what was going to happen?
Yeah. Honestly, no, I think it was kind of the best time to start just because everything was moving to being virtual and online, and so, there was less film shoots happening, but still needed to make commercials. So I think that they relied a lot on voice actors and animators to continue to make content. And so I feel like there was a lot of work. And even though there was probably a bigger influx of like new voice actors starting out, I think that there was not a lack of work. And I was just submitting to anything I could find at the time. I was willing to work for free.
So it was basically just like, hey, just throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. Hopefully you'll get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a good mindset to have, especially during a time, like I said, people forget because, I mean, it's been 6 years, which is crazy, but, time, the past couple of years mean nothing to me. Everything just seems like a blur anyway. But
Yeah.
people tend to forget that during that time, when everyone was stuck at home, like, and everyone just was just panic buying it, like, what do you call it, microphones, audio setups, and all this other stuff,
Yeah.
and googling like, how do I become a voice actor and all that other stuff. So it was a crazy time. I mean, it still is crazy, obviously. I mean, but I mean, at the time, everyone was stuck at home and everyone was like wondering, like, okay, what are we gonna do? And a lot of people went into VO because it was much more accessible back then because I
Yeah.
think because a lot of studios at the time were like, hey, no one has to be LA, we don't have to get like LA locals
Yeah.
to come in and record the stuff. And then, home studios were a thing, and a lot of voice
Yeah, I
actors
think it
like, yeah,
really evened the playing field. Yeah, I think it definitely evened the playing field for like new people to get in, because everyone was kind of figuring out how to like do their own setups from home. So it was a new skill that like everyone was kind of learning together. I feel like because even veteran voice actors, I feel like we're so used to recording in studio and then now having to record from home and figure that out. And I know New York shut down pretty quickly. My dad shipped me a microphone from Virginia, and that's how I got started. So, yeah.
oh yeah, I remember that because my brother was also in New York when everything shut down, and that was kind of
Oh,
scary because
yeah?
everyone was like, because he was studying there at the time, and it was scary. Everyone was like, hey, what's
Yeah.
going on? What's happening? I remember those. I still remember those phone calls that he would have with my dad, and they would just talk about what was going on, and I would remember like spending countless hours doom scrolling on Twitter, and just getting into having back and forth conversations with people about the state of the world, and it was scary. And but I think
Yeah.
like one of the few positives that came out of that time was that it was much easier to get into VO because again, the world was shut down and everything was virtual. So I think more studios were more open to the fact of like, oh, we can just record everything from home. Nowadays it's like everything's
Yes.
back to normal. Now it's like either you have to be either in studio or find a studio that's willing to what do you call it, record from home, which will let you record virtually.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a good mix now where I'm in studio half the time and I'm recording from home half the time. And it's kind of nice because I did love working from home. I still love working from home. I like the flexibility, but it is nice to kind of go in studio and be like, oh, I'm not just by myself in a box at home.
Yeah, and especially I think one of the positives of being in studio, I'm sure as you know, is that you don't have to worry about your levels. You can just like
Yes. I can just focus on the acting, which is what I love.
And speaking of loving stuff, what do you love and hate about what you do?
Oh, I love so much about what I do. I love that I get to voice act in different mediums, like commercial, audiobook, video games, because it definitely keeps it interesting. And I also love that I get to play so many different kinds of characters. I feel like it's really like expanded my range just being able to do, different accents and different backgrounds and it just like keeps me on my toes. It keeps it fresh. It keeps like the job always entertaining. Um, I don't know if there's anything I dislike about the job. I think you get as much into it as you get as much out of it as you put into it. So, um, sometimes it can be tough to remember that like even though like you are an actor or performer, you're still a business. And so sometimes I'm not the best with like, being on time or turning in paperwork and keeping my schedule and things updated, but I think all of that's just like learning process as you continue to work more, continue to develop systems that work better for you because you really are like a one person business.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I've said this before many times, so apologies for long time listeners. But I think one of the things that kind of annoy me about where the business is now is that everyone feels the need to be their own marketing team, and I kind of don't like that. I'm like, I feel like you're putting way too much pressure on these people. I'm like, just get them to act. Like, they don't have to be like their own
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah, it's hard because you do kind of have to in a way, like to, I think it's good to have a presence just so that you're interacting with people and like, people know what you're up to. And I also think that like when I was starting out, it was so hard for me to find information on how to get into voice acting. And I feel like I was using a million different channels to find info on like how to get started. And so now if I have the opportunity to share that, I'm like, okay, so this is what I did. And hopefully this will help you because it can be overwhelming.
I mean, but the thing is like, and that's a good point. And I think like another positive from the pandemic was that there were a lot more resources to when it comes to voiceover because I mean, because before you only had like D Baker's website, which is a great website, and I highly recommend
Yes,
and everyone who wants to get into voiceover go to iwannabeavoiceactor.com because it's amazing.
definitely.
But back then that's all people had, but then during the pandemic everything shut down, and then you started to see more and more veterans of the industry be like, okay, let's just teach classes until this whole thing blows over. And then you started to
Yeah,
see more
yeah.
people like opening up workshops and putting out resources and being like, okay, especially when it came to like recording from home, because a lot of people who are what do you call it? Were getting into VO. Were novices, and I use that, and I know that sounds mean, but a lot of them were, let's be honest, like a lot of them were novices who didn't know how to build their own like home studio setups and what have you.
Yeah.
So you would
And that
have
was
a
me.
lot of yeah. So you would have a lot of these people who have been doing this for a while come in and be like, okay, this is what you need, this is what you don't need. yada yada yada. And I felt bad for some people who came from like ADR backgrounds having to finagle what do you call it? Finagle people to use Zoom and Source Connect and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's definitely tough. But I think that that's one positive thing about like trying to be more visible online is that um people are interested in what you're doing, and it's also just like nice to hear from people who are doing cool things of like, okay, how did you get here? Like, how can I work on this, or what do I need to do, or what's the first step?
yeah, and I think that's another positive when it comes to voiceover is that you can easily find this stuff now because back in the day,
Yeah.
and this is going to make me sound like an old fart, but bear with me. Back in the day, people would go to these things called bookstores and they would find voiceover books and they would read those books to get into to want to know how to get into the business.
Yeah. Crazy.
And seeing as you're based in New York, do you feel like that hinders the type of roles that you can audition for, or do you not mind it?
I don't mind it. I think I've been very, very lucky. I've been able to record with Blizzard from New York. I've been able to do some ADR work from New York. I've been able to do commercials in studio in New York as well. Like, I feel like, and then of course the audiobooks, all of the publishers are here in New York. So I think that's, New York definitely has the reins on that. But, no, yeah, I feel like there's tons of stuff. And I think there's also just so many independent studios here that are always working on cool projects, indie animation, English dubs of like foreign shows, and yeah, I just never feel like there's like a lack of work. Now, would I hop on a plane to go like do a really cool video game? Absolutely. Would I come to LA like, for a chance to audition for something else, or like, Nickelodeon or Disney Channel? Sure, like of course, but I don't think that there's anything that's like holding me back from like being here, if that makes sense.
So you don't mind doing the whole bicoastal thing, which is interesting because a lot of actors I talk to are like, I don't mind doing the bicoastal thing.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I just haven't had to do it yet. And I feel like I've been so like lucky with the stuff that I have gotten to do so far just here in New York, but I would definitely like go to LA if like I had the opportunity to.
So, you mentioned Blizzard and Overwatch. Let's talk about Overwatch finally for the people
Yeah.
who are just listening to this for the Overwatch talk. Sorry guys, I got to got to build it up first before we get to Overwatch. So, how did you get involved in Overwatch, and was Sierra the only character you auditioned for?
Yes, Sierra was the only Overwatch character I auditioned for, but she's not my first Blizzard character. My first Blizzard character was Orweyna in World of Warcraft, and I booked that one a couple of years ago, and have been going back in studio every few months to record more for her. And then I did a short stint in Diablo 4. My character did not survive very long, so it was just a few sessions. And then the audition for Sierra came, I think, in November or early December of 2025. And I submitted my audition, and then I got a call back, and they asked me to come in studio for the callback. And originally they had said her accent was like Southern City, and it wasn't really specific. Oh, sorry. But yeah, I did my callback, I think, in December, and then I found out in January that I booked it, and I was just so excited. And they showed me the art at my callback and what she's gonna look like, and Dorothy, her drone, and everything, and it was just like so cool to like see it like come to life. And I recorded from January through April until she was released, and yeah, the animation team is just so fast. I remember a couple of sessions there I was animating, or I was recording to like literal stick figures. Like that first trailer that drops, I recorded when the art was literally just stick figures and trying to figure out like, okay, what's this gonna look like, and then to see it like all put together has been like so cool.
And what was your reaction to seeing the character for the first time?
Um, um, it was so cool. I think I loved her pink hair. I love her style and her color, character design. Everything was just like, oh wow, she's so badass. Like, it was just, I feel like once I got to like see her and like got some notes on like what they wanted her to sound like, I kind of felt like the art kind of like made it more real of like, okay, this is who this woman is.
And was it weird, like hearing yourself as the character, or are you just used to it by now?
Um, I I think I don't know. It was really cool like the first time being like, whoa, like I think also just because when you're in the booth, like you do a few takes and they pick the best ones. And so it's different. Like the process of recording it is so different than like actually seeing what the final is going to be and like what it all looks like together. So I think it was like super exciting at first to be like, whoa, like this is, I definitely teared up when I first saw the trailer. But now I'm like, okay, yeah, that's me.
And what are some of your favorite lines?
Oh, she has so many fun ones. Keep 'em coming, baby. And we get it, girl. You got rockets.
I think my favorite one has to be the touch grass line. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And
She's so sarcastic and silly.
yeah, very fun. And have you gotten a chance to play her, or do you not play video games?
I have not played her. I can't. I'm so bad at it. I can't do it. But I have watched people play. I've seen like Doja Cat played her on Twitch, which was crazy. And all my friends were like sending me video clips. And I was like, that's nuts. But no, I haven't played. I just like to watch. I'm terrible.
Because speaking as a longtime Overwatch player, she's kind of she's a fun character to play, but terrible character to go up against. Because like a lot of times, I mean, because a lot of times people would just counter pick her, and it's just like, why? But you know, she's a very fun character. And I remember when I first played as her, it's like, yeah, she's wow, she's kind of OP.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of sucks because for me, it's like, oh, I mean, you know, I don't know if this happens to you, but you know, seeing as I've been playing Overwatch since it came out, you know, I eventually like pick a character, get good as that character, and I'm like, okay, I finally got a handle of this character, and then they release a new character, and that character becomes a pain in the ass, and then it's like, oh man.
Yeah, it's so exciting. They're doing so many rollouts this year.
And you know, speaking of Overwatch, like, were you familiar with the game before you auditioned?
I mean, I definitely heard of it. I'd seen, you know, people play it, but I'd never played it before. I have a couple of friends from college who are big fans and have been playing for years, so they're all very excited to hear me in game.
And does it feel weird, like having people call you up or something, or message you or whatever, and be like, "Hey, I just heard you on Overwatch. That's crazy."
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. I've like heard from like I think I've heard from people from middle school.
Because those are my favorite types of stories. Whenever like someone who's friends with someone someone who is friends with a voice actor hears the voice actor in a role and they recognize their voice immediately. I don't know why that's so funny to me. It's like, wait, is that can't be what? I think I remember one story of like someone told me like, you know, they were on a show and their friend was watching the show, and the guy's wife comes in and she's like, "What's so and so doing in the house?" And he's like, "No, that's the TV. He's on the show."
That's so funny. I have gotten that a couple of other times just for random commercials I've done too. So it's always interesting to see where people have heard me.
But I think my favorite one has to be the Vanessa Marshall getting yelled at for being in SOCOM because she's like, and in her words, she's like, she ruined so many marriages because because a lot of people really liked her because a lot of men really liked her character in SOCOM and her character in SOCOM was sultry. So she would get like a lot of calls from people's wives yelling at
Oh
her.
my gosh. That's so funny.
Oh yeah, I mean I mean, but those are like my favorite types of stories of just like voice actors getting recognized in like the worst possible ways, where it's like, oh, oh no. And and while we're on the subject of Overwatch, it has a big cast. 10-year. This year's the 10-year anniversary. A lot of talented actors in that game.
Yes.
Have you gotten a chance to meet any of them?
Yes, I virtually got to meet Carolina Ravassa. We had a nice little chat. She's so sweet, and I feel like inducted into the family now because of her. And then I've gotten to meet Lucy Pohl in person. We live not too far from each other, so she reached out to me and asked me out for coffee, and we got to like sit down and chat. And then I've gone to she does a immigrant jam comedy show once a month that she hosts. So I got to go see her comedy show last month and was like, just so cool. I feel like I have some new friends, but I would love to meet all of the other amazing voice actors. I don't know, maybe at a con one day.
And speaking of conventions, is that something you're considering dipping your toe into?
I would love to. Yeah, I do quite a bit of book conventions as an audiobook narrator. So I would love to go to like a gaming convention. I feel like that would be so fun.
Because I know a lot of people who I've spoken to a lot of Overwatch voice actors, and whenever they get a role, they start commissioning artists for prints, and they got to go print those and have those signed and what have you, and it's kind of and your character's already really popular, so I think that'd be easy to just find someone to be like, hey, can you make prints of this character? Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I definitely need to get on that. But I would love to go to a convention or something.
And you also mentioned that you do a lot of audiobooks, and that's another facet of voiceover that fascinates me. Try saying that sentence 3 times fast. But because audiobooks are real interesting because depending on who you talk to, people either like doing them or they effing hate doing them. So what made you want to get into audiobooks? Because audiobooks are really hard.
Yeah, they are really hard. I think they're probably the hardest out of all the different mediums that I've tried. Just because it's like you definitely have to have some endurance to get through a 6-hour record day. But I've always been a big reader since I was a kid. I love to read. And I kind of also got back into reading as an adult during the pandemic because, again, we had so much time. And I just was like, okay, how can I like transition like my voice work into like the book space, because I'm already reading. You might as well see if I can get paid to read more. And I feel like I, again, just been so lucky. I had auditioned for a project that was on the casting website Backstage, and it was for a full cast audiobook. I booked a small part, and then they kind of kept me on their roster, and then I ended up being able to narrate the Romantasy series, the Fourth Wing series by Rebecca Yarros, as part of the like full cast. I got to be the narrator and play Violet Sorrengail, and that I think kind of jumped off my voice acting as a narrator part of my career, and have been so lucky to like narrate for Penguin Random House, Simon and Schuster, Macmillan, and everything, and recorded books since then. So yeah, I love it. I like again, it's just like about like just always having something new to do. Like sometimes I get to record, like this past week I recorded a middle grade mystery, and I think next I'm recording a literary fiction contemporary adult book, and then going back and doing like fantasy and romantasy, and then getting to pop back in the booth and be Sierra for a couple hours. Like it definitely keeps it fun.
And seeing as you've done and seeing as you've done a lot of audiobooks, I'm kind of wondering now, when you just read a book for fun, do you still hear the voices in your head? Are you still like creating characters in your head about how they sound?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I feel like I did that probably before I was a narrator. It's just more fun that way.
Okay, were you that kid who's like, whenever your parent reads you a bedtime story, you're like, do the voices, do the voices?
I don't think that I was, but my mom did used to read to me and my sister all of the time, and we loved it when she would read to us. But I don't think she ever really did like different voices. But I do remember in elementary school, I loved being picked on for popcorn reading, or you like popcorn, this person, because I would do voices in class to try and like make my classmates laugh. And like looking back, I'm like, oh, was I always voice acting?
Oh man, you must have gotten so many looks from teachers being like, well, doing wacky voices gets you nowhere in life. You understand that?
I had a very chill 5th grade teacher. I feel like she was down for it.
Because you talk to a lot of people and they're like, I used to get in trouble for doing voices in school, but then look at me now. I do voices for a living. So, there you go.
Yeah.
And, what is it about Sierra's character do you think do you think that you resonate with the most personally?
I feel like she's very loyal. And a lot of what's driving her is because she wants answers about like where her mom is, and she's like holding on to that hope. So I think that like her loyalty and also just her like willingness to like keep hope alive, I feel like I relate to. I think she's a very just optimistic person. And I think I try to be. I'm not always as peppy as she is, but I do love that about her.
And how do you feel about the efforts? Because, you're going in there for like an average session, an average video game session is 4 hours. Like, how do you feel about doing efforts for stuff like that?
Yeah, it definitely was like interesting. I've done a couple other games before, as I mentioned, but I think this is probably the most like extensive vocal library that I've had to record. So it was definitely like, I think I like took a video of myself in the booth just so I could like, just to have like for myself of like, this is what I did all day, was okay, now we need you to get electrocuted like 4 different ways, or we need you to sneeze 4 different ways, or yawn, or like all of the noises that are made are just, it's so funny to like look back on.
It's like, how many takes do you want? Okay. Fine. And then it's like,
yeah,
because people don't know, like, when it comes to video games, you'll do a line. It could be like one or 2 lines, but then you'll do like different variations of that line, and they have to pick which one that they're satisfied with. With, and that's kind of kind of a pain, because it's like, is that good enough? No, okay. And what was your reaction to when Sierra was revealed for the first time? What was your reaction to stupid? I know this is gonna sound like a weird question, but like, what was your reaction to the fan reaction?
Oh, I was so excited. I mean, I'd like again, I'd heard from people I hadn't heard from in a bit. Like, I remember a friend of mine, he's an actor in LA. Shout out Sam. He like called me immediately, and he was like, did I just see what I just saw? And was freaking out. And it was just like kind of cool. It was like I hadn't really told anyone, so it was like kind of like a big like reveal, like even among like a lot of my friends and stuff. So it was so exciting. And I'm just so glad that like people love her, and it's so cool that like we finally have like a Black American woman in the game, which is like huge, and she's like all Southern and adorable, and I love seeing people saying that they like we're so excited just to have that representation, or that they like relate to the character and her lines, and that just means everything. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's because she's really resonated with a lot of people, and she has a very similar design to Cammy from Street Fighter, which I think is really cool. So that's a nice little touch.
Yes, she does. I've seen so many side by sides. I'm like, oh yeah.
And what was God? It must have been like a real pain keeping it a secret, keeping that role a secret for as long as you did, because you had like a couple months where you couldn't like talk about it, and even when the trailer dropped, you were like, can I talk about this? Can I talk about this? Can I announce it? No.
Yeah. I did get a chance to talk with the marketing team, and they were like, okay, so we're going to drop it on this day. And I was like, oh, that's so exciting, also because it's my birthday week. And they were like, no way. And then they also made, like, Sierra's birthday is my birthday now, like, in the game is April 17th. So it's the same week. She was announced, I think, on the 14th. And then my birthday was on the 17th. So I was like, this is so cool. Best birthday present ever.
And so it wasn't like a Jennifer Hale situation where I remember when Ash was revealed at like BlizzCon, they did this whole like trailer with Ash introducing her. And I remember Jennifer Hale has told the story many times, but she said like, her phone was blowing up and she was like, hey, I just heard you at BlizzCon. Is this you? And she could not say anything until she was given the all clear. She's like, oh, no, Jen, you can talk about this. It's like, oh, okay.
Amazing.
Because you never know. Because sometimes, like even when a trailer drops, and you hear a character talking, you're like, am I allowed to say anything about this? Or because a lot of time, especially with the internet being what it is today, and people and voice actors being much more recognizable than they were a couple of years ago, there's always, and especially when it comes to popular video games, there's always going to be, whenever like a new character drops, everyone's going to be looking up like who voiced that character.
Yeah. It's definitely crazy.
So there's always like that added pressure of like being like, oh, who voiced this character? Who voiced that character? And then like, do we know them from somewhere else or blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like, it's real fun whenever like they drop a trailer and it becomes a guessing game, because a lot of times the guesses are completely wrong. And it's like, what made you get into that conclusion?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the fan reception has been has been great, and Sierra's like, again, like I said, fun character to play, but not a fun character to go up against, because a lot of times it's like, oh man, not Sierra. And I'm kind of wondering, like, even though you don't play the game, are you planning on, because a lot of other what do you call it? Overwatch voice actors stream the game. I'm kind of wondering, like, are you interested in like doing collabs with them anytime soon, or is that not something you're into?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm. It's like such a new world to me, and I know that I have like a lot to learn, but I want to be like a part of it. So, I'm game.
And does it feel weird, like booking something this big and having everyone like, more eyes on you, or is it not that big of a deal?
I guess like, I mean, it is a big deal. It's a huge deal. I think I knew it was a big game, but I didn't know like how big it would be, I guess. Like, I guess in just terms of like, I've been working and like grinding and auditioning for as much as I can for the last 6 years, and then to book something like this, I think that like after seeing the reaction, I was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to like take a minute and actually celebrate, because this is so exciting, and it's like been so rewarding seeing people's reception and just being a part of this like incredible game.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that even after all these years, you would think people would be like not that hyped for new Overwatch like characters, but the hype is real. I mean, they just released like I think a
Yeah.
new lore drop a couple days ago, and everyone's talking about that on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, baby, we're back.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
So I mean, and what was it? What was it like? What do you call? It? I mean, God, I like, I'm asking a lot of questions of like, what was it like doing this thing? But it is kind of a big deal, especially when it comes to like, I'm because I'm very interested when it comes to relative unknown people booking these big projects because like a lot because you don't
Mhm.
see that a lot of times. A lot of times they would just go with someone that's already established or someone that they already know can bring
Yeah.
eyes to the product, which is a very corporate
Yeah, for
way of
sure.
saying things. But like, what was it like, going into this like as a relative unknown and just realizing that this is a really big project and a lot of people, your career is going to be like much more people are going to know who you are now as opposed to like if you just book like a one-off role in like another like a one-shot indie
Mhm.
game or something like that. Was there any added pressure looking where you are now compared to where you were before booking this is what I'm trying to say.
um I I guess there's added pressure, but I think like when I'm like recording, like I can't think about that or I'm gonna just freeze up. I think I just have to focus on like what's in front of me because also a lot of times I don't know what I'm gonna even record that day until the day of because everything's so secretive. So it's just like, okay, I just need to like trust myself and do the best that I can do like in this moment and only focus on like what's in the room in this moment and then however it comes out afterwards and however it's received afterwards is out of my hands. Like after I leave the booth I like have to let it go, And so I mean I'm so glad that the reaction has been so positive and I want to like keep doing a good job and keep people interested in the character and get to see like where her storyline goes next. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just like I don't know. I try not to think too much about it because I don't want to get too in my head.
Yeah, that's another thing that you kind of like, I think another mistake people make, especially nowadays, is that they think that, when they book something big, that's it. Like, that there are that's going to be like, oh, I'm already established now that I booked this big thing. But I'm like, no, you're always going to be auditioning for stuff. There's never going to be a point where
Yeah,
you're
for
not going to
sure.
be auditioning for stuff. And, there's
Yes.
always going to
Yeah.
be like you need, I think, to me is like, if you want to be an actor, it doesn't matter if it's like voiceover or on camera or whatever. You need to have that drive that compels you to keep acting. To keep what do you call
Hmm.
it? Improving on your craft. Otherwise, like you're what are you doing this for?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel that. Like auditioning is just as much a part of the job as like booking and recording.
And some people would say like auditioning is the job and the booking is the reward. So there you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I mean, yeah, I'm kind of wondering like, did you record? I'm because I'm wondering like seeing as it's Blizzard and they usually record in studio. Did you record in studio for the initial what do you call it, initial record, or was it all remote?
Yeah, everything was in studio, but in New York, so it was still, remote for them. They were calling in from LA, but everything I recorded in studio in the city.
That's cool that they have offices in New York. I didn't know they had offices in New York.
Well, they don't have offices in New York, but they just connected with a studio in New York to do the session. So I didn't have to come to LA, and I'm so thankful for that. Even though I would have jumped on a plane immediately, but I think that we kind of already had a good thing going with World of Warcraft, and so they were just like, "We'll book the same studio."
And what was it like working with Andrea Torres?
Oh, she's amazing. She's everything. I love working with her. She she keeps like such a quick pace. She knows what she wants. She knows how to explain what she wants so clearly, so easily. Like, she's also just a lot of fun. Like, I love working with her. She's great. And I've been working with her on since World of Warcraft, so it's nice to be able to, work with her across multiple games now.
And what was the weirdest piece of direction you've ever been given?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a good question. I don't know. I really can't think of anything. I will say sometimes Andrea will use like a like a metaphor that's like more modern day to explain the story. um I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, instead of getting like too into the lore, and she's like, basically, this is a big meanie, and you have to, figure out, da, da, da. Like, she just, I don't know, breaks it down, I guess. But I don't think I've ever gotten like a weird direction. I feel like everything's been pretty like straightforward, and they're also really good about just like telling me, like, okay, so this is what's gonna happen, and this is where she's coming from, a place of this, and there's like, I don't know, so many working parts, and I get like different scripts every single time, so it's like, okay.
Who is this person again? Why am I yelling at them?
Yeah, pretty much that.
It's just I can imagine it being especially jarring to someone who's not really that familiar with Overwatch, coming in and having someone explain to them like what the lore is. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, and how to pronounce everyone's names.
Oh man, don't even get me started on pronunciations. I mean, especially during the early days of the game, so many people were pronouncing character names wrong that I think one of the developers at the time had to come up and be like, "No, this is how you actually say this character's name properly." But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, just because I like I said before, I mean, I've been playing Overwatch since its inception, and I'm kind of glad they're still adding characters, and they're still expanding on everything and what have you. So I'm always happy whenever whenever they cast someone that's relatively unknown. I think I like that because yeah, they could have gone with an established actor, but I'm glad they didn't, because
Yeah.
it's more fun that way.
New voices. Yeah.
And speaking of new voice, yeah, and speaking of new voices, like, did you feel like it was like did you feel like it was much more difficult to break into the business, even with COVID and what have you, or was it not like that much of a struggle for you?
I mean, I probably auditioned for Blizzard, like, I can't even tell you how many times before I booked Orweyna. I basically auditioned for like everything that they had for like 3 years. I auditioned for any casting call I was sent, and I never got even a call back. Which is fine. It's part of the job, but yeah, I just like kind of kept at it, and then when Orweyna came up, I think it was just kind of like a good fit, and I feel really lucky that I was able to like get my foot in the door, I think, that way. And then they kind of just put me on Diablo, which was really, really cool. And then, yeah, when Sierra came up, I was just like, okay, I'm ready for her. Like, I feel like she's just me. Like, I'm from Virginia. My mom is pretty Southern. My grandma's real Southern. I was like, okay, I know this girl. Like, I can do this. And I feel like it just like all worked out exactly when it was supposed to. So, I mean, yes, I did audition for a long time. Sometimes that's just the name of the game, is just, I'm probably auditioning like 400 times a year. I have a spreadsheet where I keep all of my auditions, and I only book like 16% of that, maybe. But you just have to kind of keep going, and you never know.
And you mentioned that she's Southern, and she's from Virginia, I guess, and you're also from Virginia. And I'm kind of wondering now,
Yeah.
when you see like the southern twang, do you point out like, actually that's not how that's not how we say it in the South, or is it not, then, or is it accurate?
I feel like for the most part it was accurate. They worked really hard to make it accurate. But they were super open to suggestion. If I wanted to like one of the reasons that like Sierra says mama is because I was like, I feel like if she was talking to her, she would say mama, but if she was talking about her, she would say my mom. And so like just having those little moments of distinction made it feel more real for me, and they were super open to being like, oh yeah, like we'll do that, we'll follow your lead on this. Or like even like that line where she's like, keep 'em coming baby. I was like, the original line was keep 'em coming, and I was like, can I throw a baby on there? Because I feel like it just fits. Like it feels like it's more her. It feels a little bit more snarky. And it also feels a little bit more Southern hospitality. You know what I mean? So I think they were super open to my little adjustments here and there, just being like, can I try it this way or can I do this?
Yeah, because I remember listening to an old podcast, and a lot of the hosts were from the Virginia area. And a lot of times, because it was like a lot of times I listen to podcasts audio only. I can't, I mean, more power to the people who do like the video stuff. I'm not, I'm just more power to you. But to me, a podcast is an audio format. I'm sorry, it's always been that way. But whenever I would listen to them talk, I would try to guess like, okay, what part of the South are you from? Because I'm hearing stuff that's like. That I've never heard before. Like, well, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And especially when it comes to someone who has like a real thick accent, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So I mean, Sierra is a very fun character. And another thing I wanted to ask was like, and do you have any personal? Because I'm not sure if you're aware, but they do a lot of what do you call it? Overwatch does a lot of collabs with other properties to get like skins of existing characters as those characters. So I'm wondering like, what would your dream Sierra skin be?
K-pop Demon Hunters. I feel like that would be so fun. She already has like long hair for it, so.
Awesome. and yeah, I mean, hopefully they add more. I mean, it's an ongoing game, so you're always going in there, recording new stuff and what have you, and they're always adding stuff. So hopefully we'll see more skins down the line. Yeah. So anyway, like before I wrap this up, can you give us an update on what you're currently working on, and where can people find you online?
You can find me online at KhayaFraites.com or at Khaya Fraites on TikTok and Instagram. Right now I'm currently working on, what am I working on? Still working on World of Warcraft and audiobooks. And I also recently just self-published my own book. It's called R.I.P. LOL. I have it. It's called R.I.P. LOL. It's a coming-of-age story about grief, and I narrated the audiobook, and it's on Audible, and yeah.
That self-published author, we can add that to your list of add that to your resume as well, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks so much for taking the time off to do this. This has been a wonderful conversation, and if you ever want to come back, you know where to find me.
Thanks for having me. It was great to meet you.